All right, so it's time to talk about the player with the coolest name in this upcoming draft, GG Jackson.
I want some nasty. Are we having fun yet?
All right, so I'm not expecting this to be a long video at all because I have my thoughts very fleshed out when it comes to him, and they're good and a lot of bad, but we're going to talk about it. Now, before we do, if you guys want to support the channel, clanthemerchfan.com, link in the description, or become a patron and YouTube member, only $2 per month. All right, so let's go ahead and dive straight into this. Mr. GG Jackson. So as always, we'll look at the stats, then I give you my personal pros and cons and how I feel about him as a player, and then we'll go over and look at Scouting Live, the professionals, and see what they have to say. But they've been letting me down lately, man. I have not been agreeing with them. So let's take a look at this. So 15.4 points per game, 5.9 rebounds, 0.8 assists on 38.4 field goal percentage. He's 6'9", 215 pounds, and he is a forward. Now let's go ahead and dive straight into each game because that's what I usually do. And let's see if anything stands out. So first and foremost, the thing that does stand out for me is that he got some games in here where he put up some pretty good points, man. You got 30-point game, or it looks like only one 30-point game, but you have a 24-point game in there, 23-point game. But anyways, besides the point, let's see what stands out. So one thing that stands out immediately is the field goal percentage. Now, first and foremost, 38.4% isn't the best, obviously. But if you look through here, you can see some of the games where it's like, ooh, that's really streaky. We got a 1 for 7 here, which he only played 16 minutes. Didn't watch this game. Maybe he was hurt. Don't know what happened here. But you have a 29% game. You got 25 here, went 5 for 20, 2 for 13, 4 for 14, 5 for 14, 4 for 17. Yeah, so if you're wondering why on a lot of mock drafts they have him like 8th, 9th, this is a big chunk of it, but there's other things as well. Another thing that stands out that's really bad, okay, just in my opinion, really bad, is this forward. His turnovers are god awful. I mean, there's some in here that's just way too high. There's way too many 5s, way too many 4s. He had a game in which he put up seven turnovers, and that game went into overtime. You take away some of those turnovers, man, maybe it's a different ball game, you know. So it's like it's pretty rough. All right, it's pretty rough. All right. But with that being said, if I want to say anything that's positive, wow, let's just get into the positives. All right. Another thing that stands out, the assists are very low, but he's a forward. I get it. All right. Let me give you my thoughts. Okay. First and foremost, I'll just start with all the pros. Okay. Because there are some pros. There are some legitimate pros. First and foremost, he is extraordinarily crafty for a forward. Like, very crafty. Now, while he is streaky as a shooter, he has really good footwork. Like, there's a lot of potential there, especially if he just really hones in and the coaching staff really gets him going. He's definitely not going to come straight into the league and be, super efficient or anything like that. But I think over the course of like 4 years, he could be a pretty good menace on the offensive end. He has a lot of offensive versatility when it comes to scoring. Okay, when it comes to scoring, so he can stop on a dime. His footwork is so good. He has so many mid-range. If you can go and just look at highlights, honestly, he has so many mid-range shots that's reminiscent of Kobe Bean Bryant. I just kidding. I'm not putting him in the same category as Kobe, but you get what I'm saying. Like he's a very smooth operator when it comes to his footwork and when it comes to scoring the basketball. He can get to his spots and he can let it fly. Another thing too that's impressive, him being a forward, he has a really good catch and shoot ability. He has a really good pull-up game, even for 3, and he can shoot quite a few shots deep from 3 as well. He's not afraid to do that. So on the offensive end, he is very engaged when it comes to scoring. Now, with that being said, it's time for me to get to the cons here, the stuff that I don't really like. Now, this is a personal pet peeve of mine, but when I'm looking at players, one thing I do not like is guys that don't have huge, great motors, and he does not have one. On the defensive end, he does not have a motor. I mean, he is disengaged, not a great on-ball defender, not a great off-ball defender, and that's really that really sucks because he does have the size, and on the offensive end, he utilizes his strength and his speed pretty well. But on the defensive end, his lateral quickness isn't necessarily there. And in transition, a lot of times he's just kind of jogging down the court. Don't really like that much, but obviously with the right coaching staff, that can change. Another thing too to bring up is that playmaking is not there. Now with a guy like this who is so versatile when it comes to scoring the basketball, me personally, I think that it will be very beneficial if he can like pass and he's not a great passer right now. I don't know if that's just necessary because a lot of times it comes down to the programs that some of these players are in, and he was by far like the best player on that team. So I don't know if that's part of it, just the fact that, you know, he's on a team where he's like the main focus and it making it a little tougher for him. But he does not look, or oftentimes did not look, to pass to his teammates. And when he did, all the team had to do, or the opponents had to do, was just double team him. I mean, they double team him, and those are turnovers. That's where we're getting those 7-5 turnovers a game at times. That's where it's coming from, because they just double him and he doesn't know where to go with the ball. Another thing too, and this is actually a positive that I completely forgot to mention, really good with screens as well. So for a forward, he's really good at on the offensive end, utilizing his screens. So I will give him that. But overall, what I just don't like, and what's really tough for me, is players that don't play great defense. And that's fine. You don't have to be like the greatest defender in the world, but I just feel like on the defensive end, he doesn't necessarily try, and that's an issue. But hey, he has a lot of talent on the offensive end, a lot of talent, and could be something serious if he just hones in, builds up that motor, and yeah, I mean he definitely going to be effective the years down the line. All right, so let's see what NBA Scouting Live has to say. Like I said, I did not look at what they had to say, so we'll see if we agree or disagree. First and foremost, one thing I noticed, they have him going mid to late first round. I've seen quite a few have him in the lottery. So yeah, that's a little shocking. So yes, he pros. Decent scorer off the dribble. Yeah. Adequate low post scorer. Yeah. That's where that footwork comes in. I'll give him a little bit more than adequate, but adequate shooter for a big, has stretch big potential. Yep, that's why I talked about the catch and shoot. Pick and pop as well. He is really good pick and pop game. Excels at scoring on off-ball motion plays. They say that about everybody. Handles the ball well for a player his size. Most definitely. That's another thing too. Like if you watch any clips of him, you kind of wonder like, how the heck did you not guard that? And really, because it doesn't look like it's really fast. It doesn't look like it's very impressive, but it's a forward doing it. And on top of it, his footwork is so impressive that it makes players stumble all the time. So very impressive. Decent defender. Very good athlete. Yeah. All right, here's the cons. Streaky shooter, can struggle to score in traffic, prone to hoisting up questionable shots. And I think that's where, like what I was talking about, where he doesn't pass to his teammates that much. He'll just take the shot. But that also shows how confident he is in his own ability as well. Can be careless on offense, which can lead to turnovers. Yes. Needs to improve his court vision. I'm right. Needs to improve his rebounding. Okay. I always forget to look at rebounding. And you know what? It would make sense if he's not a great rebounder. And the reason being is because of that motor. But you see here. I'll take their word for it. There's a few games that's pretty good. But yeah, it's streaky. Even his rebound. I mean, he had a game where he had 16, game where he had 10, 7. And then he got some ones. He got one game where he had 0. I don't even have to see this game, okay? You played 27 minutes, you're a forward, and you had 0 rebounds in that game. I don't know. I'm not. And 5 turnovers? Nah, Chief. Nah. All right. Anyways. Let's see. Can have lapses defensively. Gigi Jackson is a very athletic, skilled big man that could end up being one of the best players to come out of the 2023 draft. I do agree with that. I do agree. He reclassified to be able to play in college basketball this year, and he is a skilled player that has shown a solid set of skills to go along with having great athleticism. He will need to continue to refine his jump shot, and he struggled to make shots efficiently this season, but he is very talented prospect that may have star potential and could end up being a first-round pick. So let me go ahead and say this. I wouldn't necessarily just like dog on him and say he's not going to be anything. Like I truly do believe that he could be something serious. And even my favorite player, one of my favorite players, Derek White, I mean, he's a player that was really down on himself early on with the San Antonio Spurs, and he had a tough time, you know, staying motivated or engaged in the game at all times because he would be hard on himself. And I think Gigi Jackson, oftentimes that's what happens. If something bad happens on the offensive end, on the defensive end, he kind of gives up. You know, he puts his head down. So I'm not going to go as far as say like he's just lazy. I think it's just like a mental game, and he'll have to get over it. I mean, a lot of people, you know, said the same thing about Andrew Wiggins. And don't get me wrong, I still don't think Andrew Wiggins lived up to what he could have potentially been. But, I mean, he's not as much of a slacker as some people might have thought. He's just not necessarily like a superstar that people expected him to be. So just throwing that out there. So he can still be efficient, or not efficient, but effective down the line in his career. Like I think he'll be fine. It's just a matter of not being down on himself, building some confidence, and engaging on the defensive end, and talking to some smart basketball minds and helping him out with his IQ a little bit on the offensive end. As far as finding open guys and all that. So I'll give it to you guys later. You want to support the channel, clanthemerchfan.com, or become a Patreon and YouTube member, only $2 per month. Link in the description. I'll give it to you later. Till next time. Bye.